But for now, let's start by talking about your forecast for today. We're looking back on our peak winds yesterday, where it sure has been windy out there. 29-mile-per-hour gust in Tampa, 37 in Brooksville, Sarasota, hit 31. That was pretty similar for parts of Lakeland, Bartow, Lake Wales as well. Winds gusting into the low 30s. And so unfortunately, that trend is going to hold again today. The potential for those gusts up into that 20 and maybe at the high side into the low 30-mile-per-hour range. But as far as temperatures, we started to bump those up just a bit. We're about 6 to 9 degrees warmer across our Bay Area spots this morning, and 10 degrees warmer as we get up into parts of the Panhandle from Gainesville to Panama City, 10 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. And so it is still chilly out there, but we're starting to moderate those temperatures back just a bit. It's 67 right now in Tampa, 62 in Brooksville, low 70s for Sarasota, as well as St. Pete. And then we got to get up into Jacksonville to Tallahassee, where it is 59 and even 57 Pensacola and Panama City. So it is certainly chilly up into the Panhandle. We have high pressure across parts of the southeast. And so actually the winds around this area of high pressure are what's bringing us this breezy setup, and high pressure stays locked in place the next couple of days. So we're going to be under this windy at times weather pattern, unfortunately, right on into the start of next week. So as far as any rain, we're really not going to see a whole lot of that across the area today. We will have more of these passing clouds, and here's a look at our winds. So as we head into the late morning hours, that's when we start to see these pick up a bit more into the potential for these mid 20, low 30-mile-per-hour gusts. And so as you're working outside, maybe you're hoping to go biking or walking with the dogs, these winds are going to be pretty relentless through the day. Now, these are gusts, so it's not going to be 26-mile-per-hour winds all day, but our steady winds are in that 10 to 15-mile-per-hour range. So we will certainly notice those breezes through the day today, tonight, right on into tomorrow. But we still have this drier air in place, and that's going to stay with us over the weekend. So humidity levels stay a little bit low, but then you see these green colors here. This is some moisture starting to kind of move back into the East Coast. And so especially by this upcoming Monday and Tuesday, these really low dew points, this much drier air starts to move on out of here. So just as we look back the last 2 days, we had dew points in the 40s here on Thursday. We've kind of rebound back into the 60s. And so still really pleasant out there, low 60s for dew points, but these are going to start to kind of moderate back into the mid and upper 60-degree range for our dew points. So still comfortable, but a bit more humidity in place. Temperatures today, we're going to top out in the mid 80s. That is going to come with a good deal of sunshine yet again. So most of the area topping out 82 to about 85 for today. Lows tonight, upper 60s to low 70s for the Bay Area, and then mid 60s as we head up into the Nature Coast and further inland. Tomorrow, we'll call it kind of a rinse and repeat. A good deal of sunshine, still breezy as we top out in the mid 80s for our Sunday. Small craft advisory that is likely to run through Thursday night. Seas 5 to 7 feet, rough on the bay with northeast winds about 20 to 30 knots, but generally rain-free through the week ahead. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Valerie Mills. Thanks for logging on to My Fox Hurricane. Tracking Tropical Storm Nadine. Here it is in the Western Caribbean, expected to make landfall along the Yucatan Peninsula later on Saturday. And this is going to be a pretty short-lived system here, barely into that tropical storm threshold. The winds have started to bump up a couple miles per hour here over the last few hours. We went from 40-mile-per-hour winds to 45-mile-per-hour winds as this is moving due west, 9 miles per hour. And so we have strong steering flow that is going to be guiding this area right on into parts of Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, going to be seeing the impacts mainly as far as heavy rain over the weekend from this storm. But once it makes landfall, look at how quickly it weakens as it moves over the higher terrain area here of the Yucatan Peninsula and kind of crosses and moves into the Pacific. By Sunday into Monday, we'll pretty much be done talking about this, at least for this area. But look at the rain that's on the way over the next few days. We're talking about the potential for 6 to 8 inches of rain right here in this kind of bright yellow orange color. And so this is going to be bringing the potential for flash flooding, maybe even some mudslides for parts of this area over the weekend. By Monday, though, it kind of crosses off and clears the area. So here's a look at our tropics watch, and you can see how quick moving this is, about 10 miles per hour. And so it'll cross, be in the Pacific by likely late Sunday, if not early Monday morning. And then that continues on that westward track. And so it's the heavy rain rain that's going to be the biggest impacts there from Tropical Storm Nadine. But then we flip things over where we are tracking a tropical wave, Invest 94L, which is right around the Turks and Caicos, and areas around the Bahamas, Cuba. Going to be keeping a close eye on this area in the next few days for some additional development. The odds now up to 90% chance that this is able to form, as we can very clearly see why this morning. It's in a very favorable setup here where we're starting to really see that distinct rotation. Thunderstorms looking a little bit more organized as it's kind of just to the north of Puerto Rico. But look at what it's going to start to encounter here. We've got some very hostile upper winds, some strong wind shear thanks to a strong cold front that's kind of pushed well out into the Atlantic. And so this strong shear should start to kind of battle this storm as it potentially becomes our next named storm or a tropical depression Saturday or Sunday. That is certainly likely as conditions favorable where it is now. But on top of those hostile winds, it's also going to start to battle some of this drier air. So here's a look at where that kind of area of interest is now. And notice all of this drier air that's going to start to kind of feed in and interact with this area, possibly kind of wraps around on the southern side of that. So those are two things that are going to be working against this Invest wave that we are watching. But what I do want to note is that even though we're talking about the development of this system, it does look like it starts to take that turn to the north due to all of these sharp steering currents that we have in place here across parts of Florida, parts of the southeast as well. So as we look at our model runs for Invest 94L, most of those curve it up to sea. Maybe we're talking about some impacts for Bermuda. Some of these models take it away from Bermuda as well. So that's just something we'll have to watch in the next few days, but it doesn't look like it's going to be bringing any impacts to the continental U.S. It's the islands, parts of the Bahamas, maybe the U.S. Virgin Islands that we'll be watching very closely the next couple of days. But you can see this ensemble model run and how most of them kind of curve this off to the north, some a little bit quicker, some a little bit slower, but that is the highest likelihood of what's going to happen with this in the next couple of days. And while we are still halfway through the month of October, we still have a ways to go for this hurricane season. And typically during October, these are the areas where we have the highest likelihood of hurricanes to develop, these closer to home systems here in parts of the Caribbean and off the East Coast, closer to Bermuda. So these are kind of our hot spots that we'll watch through the rest of October and into November. November 30th is when the end of this hurricane season will be.